So, again, my name is Gwen Sorley, and today we'll be talking about three things you can do this summer to boost brain power. Now, summer, we all look forward to, and we all have fond memories of our summer vacation. It's a time where we like to relax, spend time with family and friends. It gives us an opportunity to take some well needed vacations and get some well needed rest. But summer can also be a time when our brain takes a mini vacation. And you may have heard the term summer brain drain. And this is a concern. However, you may be thinking, but we work so hard over the school year. I just really want to give my child a break from everything because he or she has been working really hard and our schedules are just constantly booked all the time. And it's true, you do need some downtime. You do need some relaxation. You need time to de stress. However, if you use your summer months to completely let go of any type of consistency or schedules or engaging in activities that actually improve brain growth and enhance learning, then you're not really helping your child as he or she goes into the next school year. There has been a lot of research on summer brain drain. And one research study published in the American Education Research Journal actually found that the average student loss is 17 to 34% of the prior year's learning gains during the summer months. 17 to 34% of learning gains are lost over just a couple of summer months. That's a lot. And you can imagine that that can be even greater. That summer brain drain can be even worse for individuals who may have ADHD and are already struggling with school. Because if you are coming into the summer at a deficit, perhaps you didn't do very well in math or reading and you're a little bit behind. And then you lose maybe 30% of the gains that you did make. You're even that much further. So that can contribute to your child always trying to catch up. So it's really important that we keep that in mind over the summer. And yes, relax, de-stress, have fun, go on your vacations, but make certain that you're keeping your mind active. Now, you may be here and you may not have a child in school, and it's you as an individual adult, and you're thinking, how does this apply to me? Remember, many studies show that if we do not engage in activities that stimulate the brain and really promote brain health, then that contributes to cognitive decline. So the summer is a great time to actually take advantage of our downtime of the summer months of the nice weather and incorporate some fun ways to stimulate brain growth. So let's really look at this as the summer of brain gain rather than the summer of brain drain. There are really some simple things you can keep in mind when we're talking about brain gain. I touched on them a little bit earlier, and that's the consistency, schedules, healthy nutrition, and a consistent bedtime. Those are really important to all of us, whether we're a child or an adult, but they're especially important for individuals with ADHD. It is really critical that we keep the consistency and some schedules and good nutrition and a consistent bedtime in place over the summer months. Because if you get away from those things, then the summer is going to end at some point, right? And school is going to get back into session. And it's going to be very difficult to get the schedule and the consistency and nutrition back on track when that new school year begins, if you've completely left it over the summer. Also, remember that when you get good sleep, it helps with the health of your brain. So it's very important that you are getting enough sleep over the summer. I know that a lot of kids want to stay up really late over the summer, and sometimes they will, because sometimes you'll have a special event and they might get to bed at a very late hour, but make certain that the next night you get back on that schedule, because sleep is critical to brain health. So make certain you keep those things in place. Then also, there are three things that we want to talk about, three different areas we want to talk about today that can give your brain a boost. Those include developing a growth mindset, enjoying summer-friendly mindfulness activities, and strengthening executive function. So I hope that today's takeaway is that you can walk away from today's session and have some ideas, some things that you can incorporate into your summer in order to have fun and encourage brain gain. First, we're going to talk about developing a growth mindset. And I want to see what everyone's level of understanding is when it comes to a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. So I'm going to ask you a question, a couple of questions, and I want you to type your response in the chat box. So let's say that you are my child or my spouse, or you are my student, or my client, spouse. Did I say it all? Child. And I give you a math problem. Okay. And you have a fixed mindset. You have a fixed mindset and you do not like math. And I put a math problem in front of you. What is your first reaction? Or what do you say to me? If you have a fixed mindset, go ahead and type your response in the chat box. You have a fixed mindset, you do not like math, and I give you a math problem. What is your first reaction? Or what do you do? What do you say? Amy says, I hate math. That's what she says. Kristen says, ugh. Lana says, I can't do it. Jeannie says, I can't do it. Rosemary says, shucks, I don't think I remember how to do this. Excellent. So you're all typing in these negative things, right? I hate math. Ugh, I can't do it. I don't remember how to do it. And that's exactly correct. If you have a fixed mindset is full of negative emotions and self-talk. So it often leads to procrastination, giving up easily, emotional meltdowns, and an inability to move forward. And if you think about the areas of executive function, right? Avoiding procrastination, emotion regulation, mental flexibility, being able to transition from one situation to another. If you have a fixed mindset, then it is going to contribute to weak executive function. Now, let's say you're that same individual and now you have a growth mindset. You have a growth mindset. You still don't like math, but I put that same exact math problem in front of you. Now, what is your reaction, or what do you say to me now if you have a growth mindset? Go ahead and type your responses in the chat box. Good. Excellent. Very good. Okay. Keep your responses coming because they're excellent. Lana says, let me see what I can do. I will try. And Ariel says, okay, I will try. Kristen says, can you help me figure it out? That's very critical, Kristen. Good. Rosemary says, this looks doable. Maybe I can get this one. Excellent. So you've all given me, and many of you are chatting in now, I'll try. Many of you are stating that. And that's correct. So unlike the fixed mindset who says, this is too hard, I can't do it, the growth mindset will say, well, I can try. Or as Kristen mentioned, can you help me? Right? A growth mindset really believes that our abilities and the skills that we have can actually grow if you take that first step and give it a try. So it's very important that we work towards that growth mindset, because not only does it appear that we're unmotivated, right? Because we have a very difficult time trying new things. And it really is just stemming from the fact that we have this fixed mindset. And this is true for both children and adults. You may have a friend or a partner or a spouse, and you think, gosh, they never seem to want to try to do anything, right? And it may really stem from a fixed mindset where they really give up before they even take that first step. So you may appear to be unmotivated. And again, it contributes to weak executive function. So there are many benefits of a growth mindset. A growth mindset helps you focus on what is within your control. It improves personal motivation, enhances brain development across wider ranges of tasks, lowers levels of stress and anxiety, helps you be proactive rather than reactive, improves work relations, and it actually helps you reach higher levels of performance. So there's so many reasons why we want to focus on helping ourselves or our children or our clients start to develop this growth mindset. If we look at the very first one, stating that a growth mindset helps you focus on what is within your control. You may experience this, let's say, with your child. Perhaps your daughter comes home from school often and she says, oh, nobody likes me. This happened to me. That happened to me. The teacher's mean. Everything is outside of her control. It wasn't my fault. Everything in her day seems to be beyond her control. And we experience that many times with some of our clients who are enrolled in Play Attention. When they first start Play Attention, whether they're 14 years old or 24 years old or 40 years old or 64 years old, we often see that our clients come to us and they've been told for years, you can't pay attention. You never pay attention. I need you to pay attention. Just pay attention. And so they've been down that road so many times that they have this fixed mindset when it comes to their ability to pay attention. They truly believe that it is beyond their control. It is outside of their control. So why even try? And what we do within Play Attention is change that fixed mindset into a growth mindset, because we allow them to experience their attention. Remember, we have this body wave armband, and that armband has 3 sensors on the back that you'll see here. And those sensors monitor your brain activity that tells us how attentive you are. And then that information is given over to the computer, where you're allowed to control all of our cognitive exercises just with your mind, or more specifically, your attention alone. So imagine coming into your first session when you've been told you can't pay attention, you never pay attention, you think attention is outside of your control. And then you put that body wave armband on and you're able to actually see your attentive state in real time and practice it and control it. That changes everything. It changes that fixed mindset of I can't pay attention, changes that perspective to a growth mindset where I know I can control my attention because I've actually seen it in real time. I've practiced it. And so that is really critical, changing that mindset from I can't pay attention to I can, and I can improve it even more through practice. So we're going to talk about how you can do some things to start the process of developing new pathways and changing your mindset. And again, this is critical no matter what age you are. And it is a process. A lot of times at these webinars, we give you tips and strategies that you can just try one thing, one activity. But I want you to think about developing a growth mindset as a process. It's something you can incorporate into every day. And the very first step of that process is understanding that changing your mindset and developing new skills and changing your abilities, improving your own ability is possible. And we know this is true through what we know about neuroplasticity, that the brain is moldable, it's shapeable. So we should really, as a first step of developing a growth mindset, understand what neuroplasticity really means. It means that this is all possible. This is all within our control. And you may think, but my child is 7 years old. Neuroplasticity seems to be a very complex concept. How am I going to teach neuroplasticity to my child? And I like to use the example of a field. Let's say you are standing in front of this field, and I want you to travel from where you are standing right now. I want you to travel through this field and make it to that windmill. How are you going to do it? Now, if you have if you have a fixed mindset, then you're going to perhaps look at this field, look at the destination and say, I can't do it. It's too hard. It's too long. There's no way I can make it through all that wheat. It's so pricky. It's going to hurt. It's going to take me too much time to make it there. I'm not going to do it. Right? However, if we take that first step and start creating a new pathway through that field of wheat, we can make it to that windmill, but we have to be willing to take that first step. So we take that first step in the field and we start creating this new pathway step by step until we make it to our destination. And as we continue each day, we keep traveling that same path. We keep walking that same pathway over and over and over again. And every time we repeat that process of walking that same exact path, it gets easier and easier and easier every time we walk the path. So now it takes us no time at all to make it from our original area or location to that windmill, because we have created that pathway and we've gone over it and over it. This is neuroplasticity. It's the same thing as what happens in your brain. So at that point, after you explain, walking and creating this new pathway through a field, bring in something from their life, something that they have learned. Let's say that your child is in basketball and he has just learned how to do a layup, right? And you can bring that into the conversation. Remember when you were first learning how to do a layup? It was hard, wasn't it? And you weren't very good at it, but you took that first step and you listened to your coach and you started practicing that skill and you did it over and over. And as you kept repeating that process, that practice of that layup, it got easier and easier, because what was happening is you were creating a new pathway in your brain. Just like we created this pathway through the field, you're creating that pathway in your brain. And the more you practice it, the more you repeat it over and over again, the easier that layup became. And it became good. So that's how we create new pathways in the brain. It is possible to start with something that may be a little bit difficult for you, but the more we practice, the more we repeat the process, the better you become, and it becomes easier because you've created that new pathway in your brain. So that's a good way to introduce neuroplasticity to really any aged individual. But it doesn't just apply to skills. That's a good way to start, but it also applies to your mindset, because a thought can also spark a new pathway to become formed. So if you have the pathway created when it comes to math, that you can't do it, that it's too hard, ugh, I don't want to do it, and you've gone down that pathway over and over and over again, then that's the easiest pathway for you. You've created that pathway in your brain. So when you see that math problem, you're going to take the easiest pathway, which is, I can't do it, I give up and walk away. However, if we start a new pathway and we change that mindset and we think, like some of you said, can you help me figure it out? Okay, I'll try. And you take that first step and you keep saying to yourself, I can do this with the right strategies. I can ask for help. I can use what I've used in the past to work my way through this math problem. I'm not good at math yet, but I can keep trying and keep getting better and learning new things. And as you start thinking and creating that new pathway, the more you travel that pathway, the easier it becomes to go down that pathway. And if you're no longer using that negative pathway, that will slowly disappear. Just like if we never use one of our pathways in that field of wheat, that's going to disappear because wheat's going to grow up in that pathway. So we're always going to go to the easiest pathway. So we have to start creating new positive pathways through our thought patterns. Changing our thought patterns actually creates a new pathway in your brain. And that's so important for all of us to keep in mind, because you may be at work and you think, why am I not getting these promotions that I want? And is it because the ability is not there? Or is it because of a fixed mindset? And maybe you're not really putting yourself out there or trying new things or expressing some of your ideas. Maybe that's what's holding you back. What if you create a new pathway from, I can't get a promotion because I can't do this, I can't get things in on time, to, I can do this. I can ask for help. I can share my ideas and create that new pathway and a new future. So remember, it is possible to change and create new pathways just by creating new thought patterns. So let's talk about some things that you can do just in your everyday to help develop that growth mindset. And one of the most important things you can do is keep trying new things, right? Try something new. When you try something new, it may be a little bit uncomfortable. You may not be good at it, but it really helps contribute to the growth mindset. And there are some things you can do over the summer to start using new ideas and see challenges as adventures. One thing is you can incorporate playful learning. So let's say that your child really does not like history, does not like to read, doesn't like math. So the subject matter, doing work in the textbook or on the Chromebook just really doesn't appeal to your son or your daughter. And it really is difficult for them to get through homework or assignments because they have that fixed mindset that they can't do it, that it's going to be too hard, that it's going to take too long. So let's change learning into more playful learning. And during the summer is a great time to do that. So maybe pick a subject matter like exploring Egypt and looking at King Tut's tomb and talking about archaeology. Make your child into an explorer. Perhaps bury some items or little trinkets in the backyard and give them a map for them to hunt down and find different items that were part of the Egyptian pyramids. And then they have to take those items and go to the computer or perhaps the library and really explore the different areas and look and read about some of these items and what they meant and their significance. And this will really help spark that love of learning if you make it more playful, or maybe incorporate it into cooking. Perhaps you have a child who does not like to read and does not like math, however, loves to cook. So make that an experience where learning can be fun. And let's say you're going to plan a party and you have a recipe that is for 2 people, but tell your child that 8 people are coming. So how are you going to modify that ingredient list so that you have the exact ingredients you need to take that from a recipe for 2 people to a recipe for 8 people? Not only will they have to do a lot of reading, they will also have to do a lot of math, a lot of fractions, because they have to calculate if it's a half a teaspoon of this for 2 people, how many teaspoons do we need to accommodate a recipe for 8 people? So there are a lot of ways you can make learning playful. And for you as an adult, do something new that might be a little bit more playful than you usually do. Learn how to juggle, learn some magic tricks, do some Sudoku if you've never done that. Start incorporating some fun things that spark brain change and the growth mindset. You may also want to just simply refresh your routine. So if you always drive to work, maybe you could ride your bike to work. If you always go for a walk and you take the right side, maybe go to the left side this time and explore new things. Just try to mix up your routine, no matter what it is. It can be very small. Just do little things to mix up that routine you have. Another great way to really take on a challenge and see it as an adventure and make it perhaps a habit and expand and commit to that growth mindset. Take on a 30-day challenge. That is a great way to take on a challenge and make it part of your lifestyle. And there are a lot of 30-day challenges out there. So those are a few exercises and some things for you to think about encouraging that growth mindset. Another area we want to talk about is how to make your summer more mindful. And we know, and I know you've heard this before over and over again, that there are so many benefits of mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness can decrease your stress levels, promotes well-being, improves the neuroplasticity of the brain, reduces anxiety and depression disorders, lowers blood pressure, and improves listening and communication skills. So this is just a few of the benefits of mindfulness. But I know many of you can look at this and think, oh, I just don't like the mindfulness practices that I've tried. Or maybe you think I'm not good at it. I try 10 minutes of mindfulness and I end up writing my grocery list in my mind instead of actually being in the present moment. So I know that some of you may have tried some mindfulness activities and maybe they didn't work out well for you, or maybe you like them and you're really trying, you're going down that path of developing mindfulness, but you need some new ideas. And summer is a great time to work on mindfulness. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Now, there are some things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day life that will support mindfulness: getting enough sleep, focusing on nutrition, exercising, drinking water throughout the day, have a relaxing morning routine, not a brushed manic morning routine, but a relaxed morning routine, and designate device-free times or zones. I think if you picked one thing to do this summer and really commit to, it would be that device-free time or zone. You know, a lot of times just having a basket next to the dinner table and making everyone put their devices in that basket before dinner time is a great way to get some device-free time. So it really is important, especially when you're doing your mindfulness time. Make certain that you go ahead and turn those devices off. It's going to be okay if you step away from those devices for a while. Mindfulness activities are designed to help you stay in the present moment, pay attention to your body and your mind, and understand your feelings. So I'm going to give you a couple of exercises you can do, some practices you can do that are really good summertime mindful practices. But I want you to think about how you can take the concept and apply it to many different summer activities. Because being mindful, doing a mindful practice, is simply all about being immersed in the present moment, really experiencing that moment, not being distracted by other activities or other thoughts or your devices, taking a simple activity and immersing yourself in that experience. So let's look at blowing bubbles. Okay, we've all gone outside in the summertime and we've had our wand and we've blown bubbles. But usually when we're blowing bubbles, we're also running around, we're checking our email, we are talking, we might be eating a bag of potato chips. So you're doing other things while you're blowing bubbles. But what if you made this summertime activity into a mindful activity? It's a great way not only to practice mindfulness, but to focus on your breathing, because you know that's a big part of mindfulness practices, is focusing on your breathing. So before you start, think about mindful breathing and focus on your breath. Remember or remind yourself to take deep, slow breathing or breaths. And when you go through the whole process, you're just simply going to immerse yourself and be very present in just this one activity, blowing bubbles. So you dip your wand in the bubble solution, and then you focus on breathing in and filling your lungs with air. And then you focus on the out breath and blowing that bubble, and really focus on breathing in and then breathing out. And as you're breathing out, you're observing the bubble as it starts to form. You're looking at the shape. You're looking at the different colors as the light hits the bubble in different ways. And then you watch it float away and you observe the flight pattern and how it changes with the winds. And as the bubble floats away, let your thoughts of the past or the future also float with it. So try to just stay in that present moment. So that's just one way you can take a summer activity and make it into a mindful practice. Try to just be immersed in that summer activity. You can apply that to cloud watching. You, as an individual yourself, can go outside and sit in the grass or maybe lay down or look out your window and just do that one thing. Just immerse yourself in watching the clouds as they go by. And reflect. Do you see any shapes? Do you see clouds that look like people or animals? How do the clouds move and change as the wind shifts? What colors do you notice? And as you're going through that process, if thoughts start coming into your mind, if you start thinking about, well, when's my next meeting? Or what time do I have to pick up the kids? Or when's my next conference? And if those thoughts start coming into your mind, Don't judge yourself. Don't be angry. Just let those thoughts go on the clouds and watch them just drift away. Okay. Just imagine putting those thoughts on the clouds and letting them float away. This is something that you could do again with a child, and maybe set a timer for 5 minutes and instruct them that we're just going to watch the clouds. After we watch the clouds, look for different shapes, look for, shapes of animals or people's faces, what you notice. And then after that 5 minutes, we can talk about your experience. So, really instruct them on how to just focus and keep their mind on that one thing, and then reflect together afterwards. So, whenever you do this, as you go through your day, if you're having a stressful thought or worry come to mind, then bring yourself back to that cloud watching. Acknowledge the thought and let it drift away. Just as you cannot hold on to the cloud, you should not hold on to those negative thoughts. Because remember, when we hold on to those negative thoughts and we let those continue, we're creating that fixed mindset. We're creating that pathway in our brain to have those negative thought patterns. So just as they come in, let them drift away. Now, to help you really take on these first two areas that we've discussed, we talked about incorporating activities that will promote a growth mindset. And one activity was a 30-day challenge. And then we also talked about mindfulness activities. So to help support everything we're talking about today, we are going to have a 30-day summer mindfulness challenge. And this challenge is going to start July 1st. And it will end on July 30th. And every day we will post a different mindful activity or mindfulness practice, and you'll have access to that. And remember, it's not going to take a lot of time. It will be a short mindfulness practice that you can incorporate in the morning. You can incorporate during the day or in the evening. You can do this 30-day challenge just by yourself or with a friend or a partner or spouse, or as an entire family. Maybe you're running a summer camp. You could incorporate it into your summer camp. So if you are interested and you have that growth mindset right now, and you would like to start our 30-day summer challenge, then go ahead and type in the chat box, type in challenge, and we'll make certain that you get registered for our mindfulness challenge. And you will receive information as the time gets a little bit closer, and we will start posting the challenges. We'll start day one on July 1st. So if you are interested in giving yourself a challenge, taking on this challenge as an adventure, go ahead and type in challenge, and we'll make certain that we get you registered for that summer challenge. Now, if you have Play Attention currently, because some of you here today are current clients, some of you have not yet started your Play Attention program. So I do want to keep in mind that it is possible for you to work on mindfulness while you're doing your Play Attention session. There are many different ways, but one is that you can incorporate Lotus into your program. If you have not incorporated Lotus into your Play Attention program yet, that is our mindfulness app. Now, remember, as I mentioned before, you will be wearing that body wave armband that monitors your brain activity, that tells us how attentive you are. So on Lotus, you're actually going to see a lotus flower in the middle of the screen. And the reason we have this as it's actually one of our masterclass modules. We have it because, we hear so much about how mindfulness helps with the symptoms of ADHD. However, as we've been discussing, sometimes mindfulness can be difficult. But what we do within Play Attention is we make mindfulness, being in the present moment, concrete, so that you have a visual representation of what it means to be in the present moment. So if you have that lotus flower in the middle of the screen, remember you have your body wave armband on, and you bring your mind into the present moment, you're able to start opening that petal on the flower. If you start thinking about what's for dinner, what time's my next appointment, what time do I have to pick up the children, that petal's going to start to close because you're no longer in the present moment. Same is true for your child. If your child starts thinking, when's my friend coming over? I wonder what mom's making for dinner. What time do I get to go to basketball practice? That petal's going to start to close because they're no longer in the present moment. You have to bring yourself back to that calm, relaxed, present state in order to continue opening the petal on the lotus flower until you work your way all the way around the petal or the flower and open all the petals. So if you have not yet incorporated this into your play attention program, but you are interested, go ahead and type Lotus in the chat box and we'll make certain to reach out to you so that you have the information on how to download and incorporate that into your play attention practice. Also, we have the media player, Play Attention's media player. But what I want to use media player for in our 30-day mindful challenge is make it our mindful media player. So if you've not yet incorporated media player into your play attention program, this is a separate program. It won't actually be in your play attention dashboard, but it will be another software that you will load. You'll have a little link for it on your desktop. And media player allows you to pull in any media file. It can be an audio file, it can be a video file, any type of media you can pull in to your media player. Now, remember, you have that body wave armband on. So once you are paying attention to that media, the video will start to play or the audio will start to play. As long as you are present and you are attentive, that file will continue to play. That movie will continue to play. If you get distracted or you are no longer in the present moment, that file will stop, the media will stop, your movie will stop, and you have to focus back in order to continue. So we are going to have in our 30-day challenge, we're going to have some media files, both audio files at times and video files. And if you have media player as part of your play attention program, you can actually import those mindfulness practices into your media player and not only practice mindfulness, but activate that mindful practice actually with your mind alone, right? By using that body wave armband to monitor your attentive state and activate your mindfulness practice, enhancing your mindfulness practice even more. So you don't have to have mindful media player in order to do our 30-day challenge, but it will truly enhance your experience. So again, if you have questions about media player, you'd like us to contact you about that because you haven't incorporated it yet, you can incorporate that with ebooks, any type, like I said, of media file. Go ahead and type in media player and we'll contact you about that as well. And finally, we've talked about developing that growth mindset. We've talked about how to incorporate mindfulness. And last but not least, all of this supports, of course, strong executive function. So how can we improve executive function over the summer months? And what we do at Play Attention is we actually customize a plan for you, a program that will pinpoint the different cognitive skills that right now may be weak for you, but are necessary for strong executive function. Executive function are a set of mental processes that help you get things done on a day-to-day basis. It helps you organize, plan, pay attention, reason. It helps with all of these processes that you need on a day-to-day basis. It helps you regulate your emotions and transition from one situation to another freely. And these can be very difficult processes for many individuals, but especially for individuals who have ADHD, because ADHD can really inhibit that ability to strengthen executive function. So, what we do is we get to know more about you and we actually pinpoint the different cognitive skills that may be weak for you now, but again, are necessary for strong executive function. And when we pinpoint the different cognitive skills, we can do that a couple of different ways. We can do that through a conversation, or we can do that from a couple of assessments we have. If you have assessments you've done in the past, you can share those with us. Or we do have two assessments available. One is called the brief assessment, which is a behavior rating intake of executive function. And the other is focus assessment, which is a norm reference test of attentional control. So we can use that information from those assessments to actually look at the different areas that we want to put into your play attention profile. And once we develop your program, your customized summer plan, we will help you boost your brain power by strengthening executive function. So again, you'll be wearing your body wave system, your body wave armband when you're doing your play attention program. And that body wave armband is going to be monitoring your brain activity that tells us how attentive you are. And then that information is given over to the computer, where you're allowed to control all of our cognitive exercises by mind alone, meaning no matter what you're working on within play attention, whether it's auditory processing or working memory, all of the exercises are brain enabled, meaning just like in Lotus, being mindful, just like that, you are going to activate all of the exercises with your attentive state. As long as you are paying attention, the activity will start and continue. If you're not paying attention, then the activity will stop or the character will go in the wrong direction. And you have to focus back in order to continue. And the reason we do this is because we know the very first catalyst necessary for brain gain or brain growth is attention. You can have a great program, you can have a great counselor or a great teacher, but if you're unable to pay attention to that individual and process the information, it's going to be very difficult to spark that brain change. So that's why all of our cognitive exercises are brain enabled, meaning you have to be actively engaged in order to work on the different cognitive exercises. JH, the armband that you're referring to, that body wave armband, is monitoring brain activity, indicative of attention. So if you think about attention, what is attention? Right now you have billions of neurons firing in your brain at different times. But when all of those neurons fire at the same time, when they all fire in synchrony, you give off a very specific electromagnetic signal. And that signal is what we know of as attention. And so that's what that body wave armband is listening for. It's listening for that moment when you give off that very specific electromagnetic signal. And then that information is communicated to your computer via Bluetooth. And that's how you're going to activate all of the cognitive exercises. So we have many different cognitive exercises. And like I said, we're going to customize your plan to help you improve executive function. The first 6 exercises come standard with everyone's course, and those are considered to be the foundations of executive function. So you'll have attention stamina. That's your ability to direct and sustain your attention. Visual tracking, that's your ability to stay focused and visually track an individual as he or she is moving about the room. Task completion, that's your ability to start and complete in a timely manner. So 15 minutes of homework will take 15 minutes and not 2 or 3 hours. Short-term memory is the ability to remember dates, names, facts. And then we have an activity called academic bridge, which helps ensure transfer and generalization of the skills learned, because it's great if you can do a really good play attention session, but that's not as important as knowing you're going to be able to apply these skills back into the classroom or at home or the workplace. Each activity has a beginner, intermediate, and advanced skill option. And as you move up into those higher levels of achievement, we're going to tie in processing speed, task switching, impulse control, and distractors. Now, we also have a variety of masterclass available modules available to you. And these you can pick and choose from at any time. So we have working memory, auditory processing, hand-eye coordination, social skills, motor skills, spatial memory, and of course, mindfulness that we talked about earlier with Lotus. And all of these exercises, remember, are brain enabled, meaning you control them with your attentive state alone. And all of these exercises, all of these cognitive skills, we develop because they lay the foundation for strong executive function. If one of the processes you want to improve in executive function is organization, well, in order for you to be more organized, you have to be able to pay attention to the entire situation. You have to be able to process that information. You have to be able to start that task right away and remember all the steps involved in that information. And all of those skills are what you're working on in every single play attention session. So every time you do a play attention session, you're strengthening your ability to be more organized. You're strengthening all of those processes within executive function. JH says, is this reading the same as heart math? Well, heart math doesn't monitor brain activity. So that is different. Heart math does not monitor brain activity. Okay. So it's not the same. We are monitoring your attentive state, your brain activity, and then incorporating that with specific cognitive skill training. Okay. And JH, if you would like to discuss this further, I'm going to chat about this in a little bit, but we can do one-on-one consultations to talk about your specific needs and everything that the program involves. So we have that available to you. And also next week's webinar is going to be specifically about play attention. Okay, good questions, JH. And if you would like to chat later, that would be great as well. Now, so again, just to summarize, 3 things that you can do this summer to give your brain a boost. One is to continue that process to develop a growth mindset, enjoy summer-friendly mindfulness activities, and work towards strengthening executive function. I do appreciate all of you staying here today. I know that we've gone almost an hour today, but I want to mention the next steps that you can take. If you wanted to register for that 30-day mindfulness challenge and you haven't written challenge in the chat box yet, go ahead and type in challenge so we can get you registered for that 30-day mindfulness challenge. If you wanted to register for one of those assessments I mentioned, whether you're a current client or you are not yet a client of Play Attention and you would like to either do the brief, which is a behavior rating of executive function, or the focus assessment, which is a norm reference test of attentional control, type in assessment and we'll reach out to you regarding the assessments that are available. If you wanted, as I just mentioned to JH, do a one-on-one consultation to discuss your particular needs, just type in consultation and we'll reach out to you with our online calendars in order to help you schedule a time that works best for you. Also, if you do want more information on Play Attention, you can attend next week's webinar. So type in Play Attention 101 or just webinar. Then Play Attention 101 is long. Just type in webinar and we will register you for next week's webinar if you want to attend next week's webinar, which is going to be specifically about play attention, the technology, all of the cognitive areas that we incorporate, the behavior shaping, the support that you'll have with your personal executive function coach. So just type in webinar and we'll make certain to get you registered for that. Rachel says, do you have to have the play attention to do the 30-day mindfulness challenge? Absolutely not, Rachel. You do not have to be a play attention client in order to do the 30-day challenge. Like I said, if you do have play attention, it'll enhance the challenge, but you do not have to have play attention in order to take part of our challenge. Great. And many of you look very excited about the challenge. So I love that. All right. I do also have a couple of next steps. If you are a current client and you wanted to incorporate the Lotus mindfulness app, type in Lotus and we'll make certain we get that information out to you. It's just a simple download. If you want to look at incorporating the Play Attention Media Player, remember the Play Attention Media Player is really good for any type of media. So it doesn't have to be our mindfulness activities. It can be any media file that you have, whether it's an audio book or it could be a course that you're taking. You can import that into Play Attention. So if you want to incorporate Media Player, just type in Media Player. And we do have a special code there for 10% off for current clients if you wanted to do either of those add-ons to your system. Also for current clients, if you want to look at doing a live play attention session with one of our personal trainers, just type in live and we'll get back to you about setting up a time where you can actually do your play attention session with one of our personal trainers, where they'll actually observe you while you're doing your play attention. You can talk about some of your goals within play attention, but also the goals that you want to work towards in school, for school or the workplace or home, so that we can help further customize your play attention plan. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I hope that you're walking away from today and you really have some ideas. Maybe I've sparked some ideas that you can incorporate this summer, still having fun, but making certain that you're taking steps to spark brain gain over the summer and not brain drain. Thanks so much, everyone. We look forward to talking to you again soon. You can type in your next steps, whatever you would like. Thank you, Jeannie. It's great to see you as always. And we look forward to working with all of you and seeing you at the 30-day challenge as well. Take care, everyone, and have a great holiday weekend. Bye.